Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in beautiful Wareham, Massachusetts. It is time to look at the astrology, numerology, and Kabbalah of the month of November 2023. Now, we're going to look at the numerology, we're going to look at the Tree of Life, and we're going to look at the first 4 days of November, and that should be plenty to talk about as we come off of a very difficult, chaotic, transformational month of October, out of the eclipse season, as it were, and we will definitely not be the same after this one. We face a new vibrational energy, and let's get talking about what's coming up for November. Of course, November. Excuse me, I'm just trying to find a safe place to put my glass of water. I'll drop it on anything. Here we go. All right. So let's just get started from the very beginning. Instead of me talking about stuff that I'm going to talk about again. All right, let's share the screen here. And let's see where we are. Okay, I believe this is what we want. And we're going to start at the beginning. Okay. Okay, so we're looking at the astrology Kabbalah of November 2023, and as always, we start with the numbers. So, some of these numbers we've gone over again. We'll go over again, especially the universal year vibration, which is the 7. Remember, the 7 is associated with the Chariot card. It is located, this vibration, this card is located on the Tree of Life, on the path between Bina, the divine feminine. Bina is associated with the planet Saturn, and Gabura, which is Mars, the planet Mars. And it is on the side of the Tree of Life called the Pillar of the Future. So in a lot of ways, this year for us is a vision, perhaps, of the future. We have the 7-year universal year vibration. And when we're in a 7-year universal vibration or personal year, or maybe one of your major numbers, 7 is a time for you to go within and be still. This path where the Chariot falls and the vibration of 7 falls is the 18th path on the Tree of Life, called the intelligence of the house of influence. It describes the human personality as a vehicle of expression for the soul. 7 is about understanding who you are at the core of yourself. It's about analysis and meaning. And in this case, the 7 is about finding your path. What is your purpose in life? What has your soul come into your personality to create, to make? What path are you moving on? Now, this path is associated with the Hebrew letter. I'm going to say it wrong. Cheth, Cheth. I think it's Keth, but you'll have to excuse my Hebrew, obviously. Obviously, by pronunciations, I do not know Hebrew, but I do know that. And this symbol is the word associated with this letter is fence. And so there's a sense of, a path that is fenced in, that is specific to, right? Specific to. And of course, we're experiencing that all year. We've had the 7 vibrations since 2023 began. Now, if we take the monthly vibration, which of course will change with the month that we're in an 11 month. So we're in an 11 vibration. 11 is a master number, so more is expected and more is given when you're in an 11 vibration. So with this vibration, we need to keep balanced and always centered. So one of the big challenges, I think, for this month is going to be to stay balanced through some of the things that we will be witnessing this month. This particular vibration is found here on the Tree of Life between Gabura, which is associated with Mars again, and Tippereth, which is associated with the Sun. So this is a Mars-Sun period of time. So what's going on with Mars and the Sun is going to be important this month. And in fact, we do have a Mars-Sun conjunction this month. That only happens every 2 years, and it's going to be happening at 26 degrees of Scorpio. That's not actually happening until I think the third week of the month, and so we will go over that in more specifics when we get to the third month of the year. But this is an important synodic cycle that's beginning this month and will go along for a 2-year period. So that's important. So things planted at this time will come to fruition in a year, and we'll understand what it was all about in 2 years. So we have the 22nd path. This is called the faithful intelligence. This path is of karmic adjustments. So there will be a karmic adjustments occurring this month. Karma is a reflection of the workings of the divine law of cause and effect. As you sow, so shall you reap. So it's important when you're in an 11 vibration, or you have an 11 vibration in your chart, or you happen to be in a period of time where you're dealing with 11, what you do will have its consequences. As you sow, so shall you reap. Now that's true of all times because it's a universal law. But when it's prominent at a time, I think the karma comes faster. And it is connected to both through the 7 vibration here and the 11 vibration here to Gabura, which is the place of instant karma associated with the planet Mars. Mars is in Scorpio for the majority of the month. The sword of Gabura, the destructive principle, is necessary for spiritual enlightenment. Here we cut away the false values of past conditionings. So the 11 vibration is going to be in part about releasing, letting go of the past, letting go of those things that we no longer need, as it were. And of course, it's also bringing the past up because it's about resolving the issue, resolving the karma of the past. And this particular path is associated with the Hebrew letter Lamed, which means ox goad, ox goad. So something that goads you along the path. Now, you might say, ox goad, what's that about? Well, the first Hebrew letter, Aleph, which is located up here between Kether, the crown, the first Sephiroth, and Chokmah, wisdom, the second Sephiroth, is ox. Aleph is ox. And this is an ox goad. So we're sort of goading the spirit along the paths on the tree of life. All right, let's keep going. And then if we add these 2 vibrations together, we get the vibration that's specific to the month of November 2023. And we add the 11 and the 7 together, we get an 18-9. So we're looking at the moon card. Now, the moon card is a card of lunacy. It's also a 9, so it's about endings. It really is, as we see in the card here, we have a dog, domestic dog, and we have a wild wolf. There is this sort of back and forth between being domesticated and being feral, right? And it deals with some deep emotions, and also it deals with the ups and downs. It's a very much an up and down, emotional up and down kind of time, which is an unstable time for most people, emotionally unstable, mentally unstable, psychologically unstable, in an effort to realize that the 18-9, the lesson in the 18-9 is to understand that you cannot save anybody who's not willing to save themselves. So there's that lesson in this as well, and you may have that in your life personally. So the 18-9, it says, you are at a time of unfolding and completion, where much is required and much is given. This is a time to be aware of new insights and visions that are being formed in your mind. By taking these to the highest source, they will be purified by the universal good to all humanity. So at the same time as we're seeing some of the most degrading and lunatic actions and reactions and occurrences, we're also seeing the highest as well. And so we need to stay in that higher vibrational state. Now, this path on the tree of life is located here between Malkuth, which is the earth, and Netzach. Now, Netzach is associated with the planet Venus. Venus is in, Venus is in Virgo and Libra this month when she goes into Libra. I believe that's happening on the 8th. She might be going into Libra. She's pretty powerfully placed. So Venus will be part of the time in Virgo, part of the time in Libra. And then the Earth, while the Sun is in Scorpio, will be in Taurus. And when then the Sun moves into Sag on the 22nd, it moves into Gemini. So the Earth is Gemini, Taurus first, Gemini second. And then Venus is Virgo, and then Libra. This path, Netzach, is the place of the forces of nature. So also our feelings, our emotions here. And there's a direct line to the planet. So our emotions will be reflected in the weather and the forces of nature that visit us this month. So we can expect that, as well as everything else that's going on. We can expect some big earth things and weather things this month. Now, this path right here, which is the Pisces path, is the 29th path. The corporeal intelligence forms the corporeal intelligence forms all bodies, forms in all worlds. Time is a time to slow down the fast pace of your life. You need to pay attention to your bodily needs, and your dreams are very active. I actually didn't put the Hebrew letter here. Wow, that's weird. The Hebrew letter associated with this path is Qoph, Q-O-P-H, Qoph, which is probably not how you say it. And it means back of the head. And so the back of the head is associated with the visual cortex, but also our sleep patterns. So this deals with our sleep patterns. Pisces is very much into sleep because that's the sign associated. Now, what's in Pisces right now is Neptune. Neptune is in Pisces, right? And so we look to see what's going on with Neptune. Well, Neptune, this month we have an opposition to Venus. That's especially important. We're going to talk about that today because Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. We also have Neptune making a trine to Mercury, the planet of the mind. Neptune making a trine to Mars, the planet of action. Mercury making a trine to the sun. Now, why is Neptune. Neptune is in a water sign, so anything in a water sign is going to be active to the trine here. So we have a trine to the way we think, the way we act, and who we are. And we also have Venus. After it's made its opposition to Neptune at the beginning of the month, we have it making an inconjunct to Neptune at the end of the month. That is, I believe, the same day. This is the same day that we have Mars conjunct the sun. Oh, no, wait a minute. It's not, it might not be on the same day. It's just the 26th I'm seeing. Okay, so it doesn't matter. So let's go over here to what it says about the moon card. It says the moon is a card of illusion and deception, and therefore often suggests a time when something is not as it appears to be. So we can't always trust what we're seeing right now because there is a lot of delusion and illusion going around, and a lot of insanity. So this doesn't sound all that pleasant of a month, honestly. And It's going to be a challenging month because we're going to be faced with things that we have to make decisions upon. 11 is weighing the options here. Okay, it's weighing the options. Okay, so let's get into the astrology. Now we're going to just look at the first 4 days of November because there are so many important things happening within the first 4 days, and we really don't even look at the first 2 days of November, but we start with November 3rd. Okay, so on November 3rd, we have an opposition between the Sun and Jupiter at 11 degrees of Scorpio Taurus. We also have on November 3rd, Venus making that opposition to Neptune at 26 degrees of Virgo Pisces. We're going to look at each one of these separately. November 3rd, 2023 vibrates to a 21/3 vibration, which is the World card in the tarot, the beginning and ending. Now, if you look at the Tree of Life here, I have put where the 12/3 falls. The 12/3 falls on the path that connects Isad, which is the moon, to the earth, Malkuth. This is, if we were to overlay the physical body, this would be the birth canal. So when we're in a 21/3, we're giving birth to something. Something is manifesting on the physical plane. Okay, so that's the path that's getting activated. Now, the next day, on the 4th, we have Saturn stationing direct at 1 degree of Pisces, and we have Mercury opposing Uranus at 22 degrees of Scorpio Taurus. Mercury and Uranus have a special relationship. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. Venus and Neptune have a special relationship, as Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. Oppositions are about awareness, and it has to do with a fruition, a cycle that was a seed that was planted when there was a conjunction between these two planets, and both of these synodic cycles, Venus, Neptune, Mercury, Uranus, are year-long synodic cycles. So they conjoin, in this case, when Venus was in Pisces, and of course, Neptune's in Pisces 14 years, so Neptune's there. And also when Mercury was in Taurus, and Uranus, of course, is in Taurus for 7 years. So these occurred, and we'll look at them specifically at the beginning of the year. And now as we come to this point in the year, we have a fruition of that cycle. So something is being given birth to at this time. And that fruition, the opposition says, this is what we have given birth to. Now we need to disseminate what we understand about this cycle to the collective. So we have the second half, with a disseminating half of the synodic cycle between Venus and Neptune and Mercury and Uranus. And then, of course, Saturn stationing direct is a big deal because Saturn moved into Pisces back in March, and now is and went forward and then retrograded, I think in either June or July, and has gone all the way back to like half a degree of Pisces. So all the forward motion we've made with Saturn and Pisces, we've had to go over again, and now we're going to move forward and then move out of that first 8 degrees. So we're really sort of going over that first decan of Pisces. And the first decan of Pisces is the Pisces decan that's ruled by Neptune. And so even though we're going forward and back and forward, because we're in that Neptune decan of Pisces, things still aren't quite clear. The next decan that we're going to go into with Pisces will be the Neptune, will be the moon. So things will be a little bit more easily evaluated. Emotional, yes, but we'll be able to actually, it won't be as confusing, I don't think. But that doesn't happen until the beginning of the year. So that's something we can talk about in the 2024 stuff. This vibration, this day, November 4th, 2023, is a 22/4 vibration. This is a master number. It's master spiritual builder. It is associated with the Fool card in the tarot, the 22. It's associated with Uranus. We have Uranus opposing Mercury on the day that the day vibrates to a Uranus number. So we know that this is especially important as well. Okay. This 21-3 is associated with Saturn, and we have Saturn stationing here on the next day. The path that gets activated through the 22-4 vibration is the path between Kether, the crown, our connection, our direct connection to source, and Hokmah, wisdom, which is our third eye. So this is, we are being activated in those two places, okay? And also activated from the moon here to the earth. The moon, so very earthly and very unearthly, really, all like within, a day of each other. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works out. All right, let's look at these specifically because we have a couple of things we need to look at. We'll first look at the Sun Jupiter opposition because that's the first thing that happens. And we can see here, now this is for the US, apologies to anyone else who lives anywhere else. We have a 21-degree ascendant for this particular opposition. We have Jupiter here in the 9th house. This in the United States could be, bringing money to foreign lands to help support them, maybe Israel and the Ukraine. We'll see. We'll see if that happens. But we do have Jupiter here in Taurus, and we have the Sun here in the 3rd house in Scorpio. The Sun and Jupiter are the two largest planets in the solar system, and so they make up most of the mass of the solar system. The Sun, of course, being the star of our solar system. Soul means soul, it means star, it means sun. And Jupiter is considered to be a dwarf star or a sleeping star, or I think a brown dwarf, and is again the second largest thing in the solar system. It does anything Jupiter touches will usually be expanded, and so we have there's a lot of expansion here, but this is an opposition, so it's about awareness. What do we need to be aware of? The signs, Taurus and Scorpio, are the signs of life and death. So we're looking at life and death. Now, this cycle is come to fruition under this 21-3 vibration, right? 21-3 here. But the cycle began on a 22 vibration, so the Uranus vibration, okay? So we have here Friday, November 3rd, the Sun opposite Jupiter 11, Scorpio, Taurus, fruition of the Sun-Jupiter conjunction, which occurred on April 11th of this year, 2023. And that vibrated to a 22-4 vibration, which is the Fool card. Okay, the Fool it's like when this path gets activated, it comes in like a flash. It's a flash of intuition, right? So you can maybe go back if you're so inclined to go back to that time of the year, if you keep track of these things, and see what realizations, like sudden like pictures, and these pictures come in like a download. So there was a download at that time, and it says here 22 degrees of Aries, the gate to the garden of all fulfilled desires, abundance made possible by human togetherness and cooperation. So this indicates that if we want to manifest the garden on the planet, we need to be together and we need to cooperate. Okay, so that's the seed of this. Well, let's see, how are we together and cooperating these days, right? Okay, so now we have the Sun at 11 degrees of Scorpio right here. And the Sabian symbol for that is a drowning man is being rescued. The deep concern of a social group for the safety of the individuals. Keyword here, humanitarianism. So that's the symbol of the Sun. Okay, humanitarianism. In an opposition, which opposition always means awareness, to Jupiter at 11 degrees of Taurus. A woman watering flowers in her garden. The keynote, development of the powers of the mind on which ego consciousness is based. The key word here is cultivation. This symbol is asking you, what are you planting in your garden and what are you cultivating? What are you cultivating? And it's an opposition, so it's a point of awareness. It's a point of awareness, and so certainly those of you who follow me You know what's planted in my garden because I walk you through it every morning. Rain or shine. But what are you nurturing? What are you nurturing, right? That's the question. What are you nurturing? In opposition to the need for us to save one another, a drowning man. I mean, we're all sort of drowning in this pain and suffering that seems like why? Why? Right? All right. Let's keep going here. We also have on this day the opposition of Venus and Neptune. Now remember, Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. The synodic cycle really is about the energy of love and compassion, love brought to a higher level. Okay, and so here we have Venus opposing Neptune at 26 of Pisces. Now this started as a synodic cycle here when Venus conjoined Neptune. We were in a 24-6 vibration. 24-6 is the Queen of Wands. It's located in Bina. Bina is associated with the planet Saturn. Bina is about, it's the divine feminine, but it's also about constraint. It's about holding in the masculine energy. Masculine energy is constant, it's force in all directions, and the feminine energy constrains that force. So we have in Hokmah, the divine masculine, we have Uranus, and then we have in Bina, we have Saturn, which takes that energy and contains it so that it can give birth to something. The color of Bina is black. Everything begins in the dark. Okay, everything grows in the dark. From the fetus in the womb to the seed under the earth grows in the dark. That is a mystery of Bina. It is Bina where we find the light within through the dark nights of the soul. Bina is the place of the dark nights of the soul. So this getting seated in Bina could indicate that at the time when we have this opposition, we're having a dark night of the soul. As we go to the vibration of Venus opposite Neptune, this world vibration 21-3, beginnings and endings, right? Or endings and beginnings. What has to end and what do we need to give birth to here? All right, let's see what these says here. The fruition of the cycle began, so Venus opposite Neptune is the fruition of the cycle that began with the Venus-Neptune conjunction, which occurred on the 15th of February, 2023, at 24-6 vibration, which I said is Bina here, at 25 degrees of Pisces. Well, it's 25 degrees of Pisces says. A religious organization succeeds in overcoming the corrupting influence of perverted practices and materialized ideals. The keynote here is the power of the soul to intervene in the personal life and to introduce necessary catharsis, keyword purification. So that was the initial seed, right? So when you think about just even the symbol of that, it's going to bring out some pretty terrible things because it's part of sort of rooting out the purifying the spiritual that is not in its highest, people talk spirit. People say, oh, this is Jesus and this is this and this is that, and we're doing this for this, and God won, and God wants Trump to do this, blah, 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 blah. But all of that is like, it's not the truth of it. It's not the truth of it, but people put stuff on it and call it something. And this is an opportunity for us to see what's really true and what isn't. And we're going to have that awareness this month. Now we have this opposition, which is the place of awareness, right? It's where the cycle shows this, you planted a seed back in February, and this is the fruit of that seed. Now you might say, this is a year-long cycle. It seems like it's taken an awful long time to get to the seed. So for the fruit of whatever this labor was about, but that's because we had that retrograde of Venus, right? So it had opportunity. We had to like reevaluate our relationship, to reevaluate what's important to us, and it was in Leo. So it's our connection to our own spirit, Leo, right? So we had Venus and Leo going through. So this is all connected, you know. The Queen of Cups, I mean, the Queen of Wands is a Leo vibration. It's the sustainer of spirit, the person who lights the hearth fires and keeps them kindled. Okay. Now we have Venus at 26 degrees of Virgo. A boy with a censer serves the priest near the altar, the first stage of actual participation in the great ritual of planetary evolution. Keyword, practice in the presence of God. So this is truly a time when we need to work for the light, even those who don't have necessarily experience with that yet. Opposite Neptune at 26 degrees of Pisces, says here, watching a very thin crescent moon appearing at sunset, different people realize that the time has come to go ahead with different projects. The keen appreciation of the value of individualized responses to any challenge of life. Keyword here, the fallacy of totalitarianism. What does that mean? Well, a totalitarian would be somebody who has all the answers, right? Like they have all the answers, but that's not really what it's about. We all have our individual answers. We all have our individual's talents and abilities, and that's what we're being asked to bring forth at this time of great need. Great need. So we have Bina, which is a Saturn energy, and we have the world, which is a Saturn energy. Saturn and Saturn. What is Saturn about? Being responsible. Being responsible. And what's Saturn doing? Saturn is pretty much stationed at a 1/2 degree of Pisces. Saturn in Pisces asks us to practice compassion. Saturn in Pisces is a spiritual path. You are being called up. You are being called up, soldiers of light and love, to do your magic now. This is when we need it, in this dark night of the soul moment, in this 11 vibration, where we need to keep the balance and hold the space. No matter what we're seeing, 18-9 happening on the world, we need to hold the space for peace and equanimity, because we will get to the other side of this, but I think it's going to be quite messy. Quite messy. All right, let's go to the next day, where we have Saturn stationing direct. Now, this is very, very interesting. Saturn on the, so we're dealing with the Fool. So now we're up at the top of the tree, crown to third eye, right? This is the day. Things are going to pop in for you. Saturn stations direct at 1 of Pisces, the saving symbol for 1 of Pisces. In a crowded marketplace, farmers and middlemen display a great variety of products. In this section of the zodiac cycle, Pisces, a man reaps what he has sown. A man reaps what he's sown. So think of what you have reaped, what you have sown. Think of what people like, oh, Donald Trump has sown, or Benjamin Netanyahu, or Putin, or Biden, or you, or me, or what have you sown? Now we see this, you know, what you have sown, you will reap. The process of commingling and interchange, which at all levels demonstrates the health of the community. So when you're in a community where there's diversity, and yet the community is unified for the common good, that is the strongest position. That is the health of the community. And we can see that many communities are not all that healthy for whatever reason. In some cases, it's war, and in some cases, it's the separation but separation can't stay. It's not, it's never static. It's going to come back together. And as it comes back together, when more and more people realize that that it doesn't matter what you think, it's what you have to do in the moment because of these crises, that we're going to start to move together in the right direction, I believe, because you and I are holding the space for this, guys. We have a lot of work ahead. We may never have to leave our room, but we still have a lot of work. Okay. So, so what's interesting about this is that I want to look at the rulers of Pisces in this turning around of Saturn in the sign of Pisces. And Pisces has two rulers. It has a traditional ruler, which is Jupiter, and it has a modern ruler, which is Neptune. So we have Jupiter, 11 degrees of Scorpio. A drowned man is being rescued, humanitarianism. So here's a hint as to what this Venus, this Saturn direct's going to, pretend for us, right? We also have Neptune at 26 degrees of Pisces, right? So we have watching a very thin moon crescent appearing at sunset. Different people realize that the time has come to go ahead with the different projects, fallacy of totalitarianism. Okay. Now, I looked to see if the two rulers of Pisces, which is the sign that Saturn is turning around in, were in any kind of relationship with each other. And they were. Okay, the two rulers of Pisces are in a waxing semi-square. Semi-square is a 45-degree angle. Says the point where we move from the new phase into the crescent phase. Now, when you look at the relationship between two planets, there are 8 phases that they can go through. The new phase is the new phase. It's like going out and getting all the experience you can. And then in the crescent phase, things start to pull closer together. It's like yang energy moving out, and then when we come to the crescent, it's energy moving in. And so this is a time of having to kind of put the brakes on things. So it seems like we're sort of running downhill and nobody can find the brakes, but actually this energy is about putting the brakes on. So we're going to start to feel the brakes being applied as Saturn turns direct. Okay, the brakes are being applied here. So the interesting thing is what this semi-square says between these two planets. Striving to resolve a dilemma between freedom and connectedness. For example, the fear that by moving closer to others, one may lose personal freedom, or that by choosing the path of personal growth, one may cut oneself from others, striving towards an idealistic type of freedom. So there's this part of us that doesn't want to be not free. We want to be free to be who we are and do what we want, but we have to take into consideration that we're part of a collective, right? And so we need to put constraints on things, right? And we can succeed. Now, this synodic cycle just began in 2022. Between these two planets, we had a conjunction. This happens every, I think, 14 years or so. We had a conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune. That occurred on the 12th. You're good. Don't worry about it. That occurred on the 12th, and the vibration for that day was a 22-4. So the vibration of the two planets that are associated with Pisces, right, started their cycle. And now we have the station, and it's all in this Uranian 22-4 vibration. I don't know. It's just like it's all connected. I guess that's what I'm going to say. It's just like fabulously all connected. The Sabian symbol for the expansion of our consciousness in Pisces that occurred on the 12th of April, occurred at 24 degrees of Pisces on a small island surrounded by a vast expanse of the sea. People are living in close interaction. the need to consciously accept one's own personal limitations in order to concentrate one's energies and to live a centered and fulfilled life. So this is about, in a way, knowing who you are and then living with others and being okay with who you are and being okay with who they are and doing your best to live in harmony, because we just have this one little planet that we're all living on right now. I mean, maybe there's another planet, maybe there's a mothership, but I don't know. And so you can't like think about what could be. You have to think about what is. And of course, Saturn is all about what is. All right, the last thing we're going to talk about is the Mercury opposing Uranus. Remember, Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. This is the fruition of the seeds planted at the Mercury-Uranus conjunction. That occurred on June 4th of 2023, and the vibration on that day was a 17.8, and it occurred at 21 degrees of Taurus. So here's the 17.8. You have Venus conjunct Uranus. It is the star card, and the star card is associated with the sign of Aquarius, which incidentally is ruled by Uranus. Okay, so this is the end. This is hope, right? This is hope, but it's an 8. So it's also 17.8. It's about as you sow, so shall you reap. It's also about meditation, very powerful. Now we come to the opposition, and here we are, the Mercury opposite Uranus connected to the Fool card. Fool card is associated with Uranus. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. You see connections here? This is all pointing to the Aquarian age, guys. This is raising all boats. This is progressive politics, progressive thinking, egalitarianism, all of that, the potential of that all being planted at this time, at a time when we are in the midst of huge chaos and a letting go of things that no longer serve us. So while things are going to look pretty dire, and we're probably going to do a lot of this month, we have to know that the seeds being planted now are the seeds for a better tomorrow. And that's what we need to focus on. How can you in your life be your best individual self? So when the time comes for us all to come back together to do the work of creating a new world order, so to speak, or a new world, that you are going to have made it through this period of time. So we're all depending on each other here, guys. So let's talk about this synodic cycle. So it started on the 4th of June. That's at that 21 degrees of Taurus. The Sabian symbol for 21, you can't make this stuff up, I'm telling you. For 21 degrees of Taurus, a finger pointing to a line in an open book. Learning to discern what in your culture and religion is meaningful to you personally. So this is about, your personal spiritual experience. What's meaningful to you, and sort of moving on that, right? That was the initial energy. Okay. Now we have the opposition, which is the halfway point. It's the fruition of the cycle, right? And then once the fruit is we see the tree and the fruit is laden with the tree is laden with the fruit, we take that fruit and we disseminate it through the collective. So this is the fruits of our labor, the dissemination of that needs to be distributed to all people. Okay. We have Mercury at 22 degrees of Scorpio, hunters shooting wild ducks. The socially accepted release of an individual or a group's aggressive instincts, in opposition to Taurus at 22 degrees, Uranus at 22 degrees of Taurus. A white dove flying over troubled waters, the spiritual inspiration that comes to the individual in the overcoming of a crisis, a reward to the faithful. Who do you need to be faithful to? You need to be faithful to yourself. Who is yourself? Your higher self. Who is your higher self? It's your spiritual self. It's the part of you that is connected to all things, to all other souls. Oppositions have the energy of Aries and Libra. And Aries is the I am, and Libra is the you are, or we are, or the other. Well, the other is your higher self, guys. So this is about lining up your lower self with your higher self. And that is a spiritual initiation. And that's really what we're all going through. What is a spiritual initiation? It's an initiation into a new way of being, more aligned with spirit. Spirit is unity. Spirit is unity. All right. All right. So that's all we're going to talk about today. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Let me stop the share here. All right. So it's going to be a doozy of a month. I'll be here every week to go over the what's going on in the heavens. So if you want to know what I think or what I see, fear not, I should be here, barring any, like thing like that. Not thinking about that or planning on that, but Uranus is alive and well these days. So, all right, you take care of yourselves, guys. Please be careful out there. Don't lose faith. Don't lose hope. If it's too hard to see, stop looking at it. It's happening. It's more important that you focus on where you can do the most good. So, let's just keep it let's keep with that, at least for this first week. I'll tell you if the plan changes. I don't think so. All right, guys, take care. Have yourself a safe week. And I'll see you again next week for week number 2 uh, of this great show, the greatest show on earth, as it were. Okay, take care, everyone. Namaste.